I sat in the folding chair at the very back of the community clubhouse, hands folded in my lap while the rest of Willow Creek, HOA, clapped like Sierra had just cured cancer. No one glanced my way, not even Mom. I was the invisible one, the rule breaker, the cautionary tale they whispered about over block party punch. They had no clue what I'd become, what I'd quietly fixed while they were busy measuring each other's grass with rulers. Colonel Hargrove, no relation to President Karen, thank God, strode in wearing that crisp consultant suit, all confidence and clipboard until his eyes landed on me. The room temperature dropped 10 degrees. He stopped mid-stride, walked straight past the podium, and leaned down so only I could hear. Wait, you're her. Everything froze. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another HOA Karen takedown that stings so good it heals. If you've ever been fined for breathing wrong in your own driveway or labeled the neighborhood failure, this one's for you. Like, share, comment your worst Karen story. Let's grow this channel one petty fine at a time. Growing up in Willow Creek, I learned early how to vanish. Not by moving, just by shrinking. In a neighborhood where HOA meetings were louder than rock concerts and attention was the only currency that mattered, I never stood a chance. My sister Sierra was born sparkling. She laughed louder, decorated her porch first for every holiday, and always knew exactly which pastel shade of welcome mat would get Karen's stamp of approval. Dad said she had presence. Me? I liked quiet evenings debugging code on my laptop with the blinds drawn. Silence. Depth. Things that didn't sparkle or scream. I still remember the day I won the regional coding competition at 15. Built a neighborhood watch app prototype that could actually detect suspicious activity before the security cameras even blinked. I brought the trophy home, held it out like it was made of gold. Dad barely looked up from his phone. Cute. But it's not like you organized the 4th of July parade. A week later, Sierra came home with a participation ribbon for chairing the HOA Welcome Committee. Karen herself pinned it on the community bulletin board with a gold star. That was the rhythm of my life. My wins went in a drawer. Sierra's went on the fridge for the whole street to admire. In high school, I kept excelling quietly. Straight A's. Teachers slipped me extra credit projects. I got full ride offers to 3 tech universities. When I got accepted to Pacific Tech, the best cybersecurity program on the West Coast, Dad told the neighbors it was probably just a diversity quota. Said it with that casual laugh like he was doing me a favor. Mom never corrected him. I smiled, swallowed the sting, and told myself if I just worked harder, they'd eventually see me. But deep down I knew the truth. It was never about my achievements. It was about fitting the mold they'd already poured for Sierra. And I didn't. When I left for college, I thought I was finally free. Free to code without bylaws. Free to exist without fines. For a while I was. Then came a phone call. Dad had questions. He didn't like the internship I'd accepted at a boutique firm that audited HOA software nationwide. Called it sketchy and beneath a more girl. I tried explaining it was cutting edge, protecting community portals from hackers who could drain every resident's escrow account in seconds. He shouted over me, called me irresponsible, naive, a disappointment. I don't remember the exact words I fired back, only that the call ended with me saying, "I'm done living for your approval." That was the last real conversation we had for years. A few weeks later, I officially withdrew from Pacific Tech. Didn't tell them. Packed my bags, took the full-time offer, and disappeared into the work. That's when the rumors started, courtesy of Karen's weekly newsletter and Sierra's Instagram stories. Dropped out living off odd jobs, wasted potential drifting. The whole block ate it up. Karen even added me to the watch list in the monthly minutes, right under unapproved mailbox colors. I let them believe every word. I didn't argue, didn't defend, didn't post a single clapback, because I had a plan that didn't need their likes. their approval, or their HOA-approved welcome signs. I stayed silent while family barbecues happened without me. While Sierra posted photos in her perfect khaki HOA volunteer polo, smiling beside Karen with captions like "Proud to serve the real heart of Willow Creek." I didn't react when old neighbors stopped waving, when my name became synonymous with that one who couldn't hack it. But behind the scenes, I was building, learning, training, becoming the exact opposite of everything they whispered. Sierra was everything I wasn't, and that's exactly how the neighborhood liked it. She filled every meeting with her voice, her laughter, her perfectly timed for the children's speeches. Karen used to gush. Sierra knows how to lead. She was born for the board. While I spent nights in front of 3 monitors writing encryption that no one would ever see, Sierra was out charming the block, leading petition drives, posing for the annual calendar. Mom bought her new blazers for every event. Dad polished her presentation clicker himself. I didn't mind. Not really. I stayed in the shadows where it was quiet. But what no one saw, what the whole street refused to acknowledge, was how many times I quietly built the stage Sierra stood on. When she panicked the night before her big Safer Streets proposal deadline, her slideshow was a glitchy mess. She showed up at my door at 2 a.m., mascara running, blaming the unfair system. I stayed up until dawn rewriting every slide, embedding the security protocols she didn't even understand. I even ran mock Q&A sessions, playing the role of skeptical Karen, grilling her until she could answer without cracking. She passed the vote with flying colors. Of course. At the next meeting, she thanked the board, thanked Karen, thanked Mom and Dad for believing in her vision. Not a single mention of me. I clapped the loudest anyway. I always did, because that's what good sisters do, right? Show up even when the spotlight never swings your way. But everything shifted the night of Sierra's first big HOA promotion. She'd been named vice chair of the beautification committee, a huge deal in Karen's kingdom. The block threw her a celebration at the clubhouse, banners, balloons, custom cupcakes with her face airbrushed on the frosting. I found out the same way I found out about everything, Sierra's Instagram story. Everyone was tagged. Mom, Dad, aunts, uncles, even old Mr. Jenkins from 3 streets over. I wasn't. Not because I was busy, not because I couldn't make it. I simply wasn't invited. No text, no call, not even a passive-aggressive "hope you can stop by." I stared at that photo for a long time. Not jealous, not sad, just clear. I had poured so much of myself into a neighborhood that didn't even notice when I wasn't in the frame. They only saw what they wanted to see. And Sierra never once tried to change the picture. That night, I stood alone in my little house on Maple Lane, laptop humming, the only light in the room. I stared at my reflection in the dark screen and whispered, "You're done trying to be seen." I powered everything down, opened a drawer, and pulled out the sealed envelope that had arrived 2 weeks earlier. An invitation, not to a party, but to a confidential program, an elite cybersecurity initiative that protected homeowners associations across 3 states. They'd found me through encrypted back channels, traced my anonymous patches through layers of code, and still got my real name. They wanted me, not as Sierra's sister, not as Karen's cautionary tale. Just me. I hesitated at first. Accepting meant going deeper underground. No more block parties. No more HOA meetings. No more name on anything public. But after that Instagram story, I was ready. I folded the envelope, opened my laptop one last time, and typed 2 sentences. "I'm leaving. Not for you, for me." Then I shut it for good. That was the last night I lived in Sierra's spotlight. I arrived at the secure facility on a gray Tuesday morning, the kind where the fog clings to the pines like it's hiding secrets. No grand entrance, no welcome banner, just a fingerprint scanner, an underground garage, and total silence. Inside it was another world. People moved like ghosts. No small talk. No names on badges. They call me Vesper. Codename only. My real identity stayed buried deeper than any HOA violation. My assignment was Project Shield Wall, building next-gen defense matrices for community association portals. We weren't just patching firewalls. We were creating digital fortresses, predictive breach detection, offensive counter AI that could fry a hacker's rig in 90 seconds, black ice protocols that wiped data trails like they never existed. And I was terrifyingly good at it. For the first time, nobody compared me to Sierra. No backhanded cute for a dropout. No Karen-style side-eye. Just raw results. Within 8 months, I was lead architect on Aegis Core, the self-learning system now guarding over 40 HOAs, including Willow Creek. Funny how the universe loops. My fingerprints were in every line of code protecting the very neighborhood that had written me off. They all used it. They all praised the miracle upgrade that stopped 3 ransomware attempts last year. Nobody knew it was me. Not Karen. Not Sierra. Not even the parents who still forwarded me her highlight reels. I thrived in the shadows. Missions took me to server farms in Nevada, encrypted briefings in Seattle, private commendations I could never frame. Through it all, I stayed invisible until Operation Blackout. A coordinated cyber assault hit 11 associations at once. Willow Creek was target number 1. Someone, probably the same group that had been probing our portal for months, tried to drain every escrow account and leak social security numbers for blackmail. Real money, real lives, real panic. I stayed online for 51 straight hours, rerouting traffic, deploying custom patches faster than the attackers could adapt, triggering black ice that fried their command servers before they could exfiltrate a single byte. Willow Creek's portal held. Every resident's data stayed safe. The attack collapsed in under 4 minutes. The state cybersecurity office sent a quiet thank you to Vesper. No medal, no press release, just the private knowledge that I had stopped a disaster the entire board had ignored warnings about. Back in Willow Creek, they threw a "We survived the hack scare" potluck. Karen took credit in the newsletter for proactive leadership. Sierra posted a selfie with a new security sign. Thanks to our amazing board. Mom baked her famous lemon bars. Dad grilled burgers. They toasted the uniform, well, the polo shirts. None of them had any idea whose code had actually saved their bank accounts. And I didn't tell them. I wasn't doing it for applause. I was doing it because I had finally become someone who didn't need their validation. The invisible sister had become the unseen guardian of the gates. 2 weeks ago, everything tilted again. The state sent notice. A select group of Shield Wall contributors will be invited to the annual Willow Creek HOA Gala as silent guests. No names on the program. No photos. Just quiet clearance. Normally, I would have declined. Too risky. But something in my chest whispered yes. I didn't know the gala was also Sierra's big night. She was being awarded Resident Leader of the Year. I didn't know Karen had spent 3 months planning the perfect victory lap. I just knew I needed to be in that room. Not to prove anything. Just to stand where they once forgot I existed and feel what it was like to exist anyway. I flew back under my real name. Slipped into the back row of the clubhouse ballroom, wearing the same plain black dress I'd owned for years. Let them whisper. Let them point. They still thought I was the dropout. The cautionary tale. The one who couldn't even keep her lawn at the exact 3.5 inches Karen demanded. They had no idea. The applause thundered as Sierra took the stage. Posture perfect. Smile camera ready. New vice chair pin gleaming like a crown. Dad stood near the front beaming. That's my daughter. First in the family to climb the board this fast. Mom clapped politely. Glanced back once. Saw me. Then quickly looked away. The whispers started immediately. Isn't that the older sister? Thought she moved away after dropping out. Heard she's still jobless. I was a rumor again. alive and breathing in their midst. Sierra's speech was pure polished perfection, thanking the board, thanking Karen for mentoring true leaders, thanking Mom and Dad for the roots. When she finished, the room erupted. Then the state consultant, Colonel Hargrove, stood up. Instead of walking to the podium, he looked straight at me and said loud enough for the whole room to hear, "Amara Moore." Head swiveled. Jaws dropped. My heart didn't race. It settled. Dad frowned. Sierra crossed her arms, clearly annoyed. I stood quietly. Yes. Hargrove gestured toward the side door. May I have a word? The whispers exploded behind me as I walked the aisle, past neighbors who had never once defended me, past Sierra's frozen smile, past Dad's confused glare. The door clicked shut. Hargrove turned, voice low but shaking with respect. Is it true? You're the architect behind Aegis Corps. I studied him. No doubt in his eyes. Just awe. Yes. His breath caught. I ran penetration tests on your system. We thought it was a whole team of PhDs. You saved Willow Creek during blackout. You saved every account on this street. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. Just did my job. He shook his head slowly. Why stay silent? I could have told him about the fines, the rumors, the years of being the family embarrassment. Instead, I said the truth that mattered. My work never needed applause. He stared, then nodded like a man meeting a legend. You've got more discipline than half the experts I've met. We stood in that hallway, two people from different worlds connected by lines of code that had protected an entire neighborhood. Then he straightened his jacket. They should know. They will, I said quietly. When it's time. When we stepped back into the ballroom, the air had already changed. Conversations died mid-sentence. Eyes followed me like I was a ghost who decided to haunt the party. The same people who had whispered drop out 5 minutes earlier were now staring with something closer to fear. A man in a dark blazer, retired engineer from Pine Court, approached first. Voice hushed. Your Vesper. I raised an eyebrow. Thought we didn't use real names here. He gave a nervous laugh. We tested Aegis Corps last quarter. Thought it was built by a government lab. He stepped aside. Respectful. Then another came. And another. Board members. Committee chairs. Even the guy who used to ticket my car for non-compliant tire shine. Quiet questions. Did you really stop blackout? Were you involved in the Helix patch? I answered each one simply. No drama. No boasting. Across the room, Sierra stood rigid beside the banner with her face on it. Her perfect smile was cracking at the edges like cheap HOA paint in the sun. Dad's arms were folded so tight his knuckles were white. Mom sat blinking rapidly, eyes darting between us like she was watching a car crash in slow motion. Colonel Hargrove returned to the podium. The room hushed instantly. If I may, he said, voice steady but carrying steel, I'd like to take a moment to recognize someone else here tonight. Every head turned toward him. He looked straight at me. Amara Moore, would you join me? Gasps rippled. Someone actually dropped a champagne flute. I walked forward calm and steady. No ismite, no extra posture. Just me. Hargrove didn't launch into a speech. He didn't need to. He simply said, some heroes don't wear blazers or sit on boards. Some defend entire neighborhoods from places no one sees, from code, from silence, from sacrifice no bylaws could ever measure. He turned to me. Tonight we recognize one of those heroes, the architect of Aegis Corps, the shield that held during blackout, the ghost who kept every resident's life private. I gave one small nod. That was it. No speech. No victory lap. The room didn't clap right away. The silence was louder than any applause ever could be. The sound of 100 people realizing they had been cheering the wrong sister for years. I looked out at the crowd. Dad's face had gone the color of old sidewalk chalk. Mom had one hand over her mouth, the other gripping her purse like it was the only solid thing left. Sierra was still trying to smile. But it looked painful now, brittle, like it might shatter if she breathed too hard. Karen, President Victoria Hargrove herself, stood frozen at the head table, rulebook clutched to her chest like a shield, cheeks burning red under the perfect makeup. The ceremony ended in that heavy silence. People filed out slowly, some still congratulating Sierra out of habit, others sneaking glances at me like I was suddenly radioactive. I didn't stay long. I had never come for the spotlight. But Karen wasn't about to let the night end without one last power play. As I stepped outside into the cool evening air, I heard her voice, sharp, clipped, the same tone she used when she fined Mrs. Alvarez for having excessive roses. Amara. I turned. She was storming toward me, heels clicking like tiny gavels, eyes blazing. Why didn't you say anything? All these years you've been what? Some secret hacker? While I've been running this association. Her voice carried across the parking lot, drawing stares. I kept my tone even, because you never asked. Karen, you were too busy measuring my grass and writing me up for mailbox misalignment. She sputtered. That's not. You could have told the board. We could have used your skills. I smiled, small and tired. You didn't want skills. Karen, you wanted compliance. And when I wouldn't comply, you turned the whole neighborhood against me. So I protected them anyway. Quietly, the way I always have. Sierra appeared behind her, heels clicking faster, panic and fury mixing in her eyes. Why tonight? Why my night? You just had to ruin it, didn't you? Her voice cracked on the last word. I looked at her for a long moment. I didn't ruin anything. Sierra, I just stopped letting you take credit for work you never did. Same way you never once mentioned me when I fix your slideshows. Your petitions, your entire image. For once she had no comeback. Just folded her arms and looked away, swallowing whatever venom she wanted to spit. Mom approached slowly, eyes wet. Amara, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I stepped back gently. I know. Mom, I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done waiting to be seen. Dad stood off to the side, jaw clenched, saying nothing. The silence that followed was the kind that happens when masks finally crack and hit the pavement. I turned and walked toward my car, hand to my pockets, cool breeze brushing my face. No one followed. No one called my name. Just the sound of my own footsteps and the distant hum of the neighborhood I had saved without ever needing their thanks. A week passed. No texts. No, we're proud of you cards. Not that I expected any. I went back to my quiet house on Maple Lane, expecting the whispers to die down. They didn't. Instead, the rumors flipped overnight. Suddenly, I was that tech genius we always knew had potential. Karen's newsletter skipped its usual shaming section entirely. Sierra's Instagram went suspiciously dark. Then the official letter arrived, hand-delivered. Heavy cream envelope with the state seal. Not the public gala. A private recognition dinner for Shield Wall contributors. Reserved. No press. Just the people who actually mattered. I almost declined again. But that same quiet voice inside me said go. Not for them. For closure. The dinner was held in a sleek glass pavilion overlooking the reservoir. Soft lighting. No balloons. No cupcakes with anyone's face. Just quiet power. Colonel Hargrove spotted me immediately and walked over. Smile warm this time. Amara. No confusion tonight, just respect. He offered his arm. They're ready for you. We walked toward the small stage. A few heads turned, recognition flickering in eyes that had run my code. Tested my patches. Survived blackout because of me. Hargrove took the mic. He never wasted words. There are people here with decades of service and titles on their doors. They deserve every honor. But some heroes don't wear blazers or sit on boards. Some defend entire communities from shadows we never see, from lines of code written in silence. He looked straight at me. Tonight we recognize the architect of Aegis Core, the shield of Operation Blackout. The quiet force that kept Willow Creek safe when the board was busy measuring grass instead of firewalls. Amara Moore. The applause didn't start polite. It thundered raw, genuine, the sound of people finally understanding. I stood there, center stage for the first time in my life, and simply let it wash over me. No tears, no speech, just the quiet satisfaction of being seen on my own terms. I scanned the room, and there they were. Dad in the corner, clapping stiffly, face unreadable, no smugness left, just hollow realization. Sierra, beside him, stared at the floor, arms folded tight, jaw locked. For once there was no camera, no spotlight to steal, just the truth standing 10 feet away. Mom sat front row, hand clasped, eyes shining. She mouthed 2 words across the distance. I'm sorry. This time it felt real. Later, outside on the terrace, with the water stretching dark and calm, I stood alone. The wind tugged at my coat. I didn't need anyone to chase after me. I didn't need more applause. Because tonight the neighborhood that had spent years trying to erase me had finally been forced to look. And for the first time, I wasn't the failure, the dropout, the cautionary tale. I was the reason they still had homes worth protecting. The next morning, my phone finally buzzed. Not Karen, not Sierra, just a single text from Mom. Coffee sometime? No rules attached. I smiled at the screen, typed back maybe, and set the phone down. Karen tried one last power move. She called an emergency board meeting to discuss recent security developments. Translation: she wanted to rewrite history. I showed up anyway, first time in years. Sat in the front row this time. When she started her speech about team effort and collective vigilance, I simply opened my laptop and projected the single slide I had prepared, a timestamp log showing exactly when Aegis Corps had stopped the blackout attack, while Karen's own email from 3 days earlier read, "Ignore the alerts. It's probably just kids." The room went dead quiet. Karen's face drained of color. Sierra looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her. Dad stared at the screen like it had personally betrayed him. I closed the laptop, stood, and said softly, "Next time you want to take credit for saving the neighborhood, Karen, maybe read the code first, or at least stop finding the woman who wrote it." I walked out to the sound of chairs scraping and voices rising, not at me, but at her. For once, the bylaws were being used against the person who weaponized them. Weeks later, the neighborhood looked different. Grass still got mowed, but nobody measured mine anymore. Sierra's Leader of the Year plaque quietly disappeared from the clubhouse. Karen's re-election campaign mysteriously lost steam. And me? I still code in silence. Still keep the digital wall standing. But now when I walk to the mailbox, no fine waiting, I catch neighbors waving. Not because I'm suddenly loud or shiny, because they finally see what was always there. The invisible daughter didn't need to shout to be heard. She just needed the truth to do the talking. And in Willow Creek, truth turned out to be the one rule even Karen couldn't find. If this story hit you where it hurts and then healed the spot, don't scroll past. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Share it with anyone who's ever been the quiet one in a loud HOA world. And tell me in the comments, have you ever watched a Karen's empire crumble in real time? Let's talk. I'll be right here, quietly keeping the neighborhood safe one line of code at a time.